Hi everyone. Trying to be nice and cheery and happy. Okay, so continuing on from our theme about monsters. Remember last week Joanna talked about the monsters that are outside, all around us, the things that we can be afraid of. And the story last week was about David and how David fought the giant called Goliath. But he wasn't afraid because he had God with him. And continuing on from that, do you know what happened to David? After that, the King Saul got to hear about how brave David was, how he wasn't afraid even of the biggest giant that the enemy had. David was still able to strike him down. So King Saul invited David to come and live with him in the palace, and he became best friends with the king's son. His name was Jonathan. And he became very popular with everybody in the palace. He was a really popular guy. Everybody loved him. They thought he was great because they'd heard about this great thing that he'd done. And what do you think that did to King Saul? Well, he had a monster inside him that made him afraid. He was afraid because David was so popular. He was afraid that everybody was liking David more than they liked him, and he was the king. That shouldn't be. And because of that fear, because of that monster inside him, what happened? He tried to kill David. A couple of times he threw a spear at him, but David ducked and managed to avoid it. And Saul thought, what am I going to do now? I can't get him with a spear. So he thought, I know what I'll do, I'll send him out, I'll make him like really important in my armies, and I'll send him out and I'll get him to go and fight wars, and hopefully he'll get killed, and then I'll be the most popular one again. But it didn't work, and you know why it didn't work? Because God was with David. David had nothing to fear because he knew the Lord was with him. And Saul came to realise that too, because no matter what he tried to do, just wasn't working. He came to realise that God was with David and he couldn't do anything about it. But do you see how everything just made Saul so angry because he was so jealous of David? And that's like monsters we can have inside ourselves, obviously not real monsters, but we can be jealous of other people. We can get angry with other people, do things to annoy us, or say something that really hurts us. Members of our family, people that we know from school, friends outside in the street. And sometimes when they do that, what do we want to do naturally? We want to fight back, or we want to say something that's going to hurt them twice as bad. Do you know something? That's like the nasty old monster inside you saying, come on, do it. Get your own back. God doesn't tell us to do that, sure he doesn't. He tells us to be kind, love everybody. Sometimes it's hard to do, sometimes it's the better way. So that's what I want you all to remember this week. Don't let the monsters inside you turn you into a monster. Remember that you don't need to be afraid of anything at all, because you have God with you. God loves you. You needn't fear anything. Remember, do your very, very best to be kind, smile. Somebody does something that upsets you, don't try to fight back or do anything to hurt them. You could maybe just say, look, that wasn't very nice, but that's okay. I would really like if you didn't do that again. Still want to be your friend, and that's the best way, because then it doesn't make you angry or get all hurt inside and feel all nasty and horrible. It's nicer to be nice. Okay everybody, I hope you have a great week, and here's Joanna now with some great craft. Bye!
This week we have been looking at monsters from the inside, so some of the things that we might have some doubts about and some of the things that scare us. So let's make a monster today and think of maybe the most scariest monster that you can think of, or maybe it's a monster that might want to cheer you up a little bit. So I'm going to make one that is a wee bit more cheery. If you ever watched Monsters Inc., I love some of the monsters in it. They just make me feel so happy. So I'm going to make one of those kind of monsters, so it's going to have to be lots of bright colours and something that isn't so scary. So I've got my paper plate. You can use some paper, you can use some card, whatever you have in the house. It doesn't have to be a paper plate, but that's just what I have. So I'm going to colour it in first. So now that I've added some bright colours, I'm going to make some eyes. So no matter how cheery my monster is, it still has to be a bit weird, doesn't it, with its creepy eyes? So now it's got some weird looking eyes, I'm going to add some coloured dots to it with some tissue paper that I have. I'm going to add some more eyes just because a monster can't have 2 eyes and be normal like all of us. And there you have it. My bright monster. Now I would love to see you do a better job than I can. And I know that you can make yours a lot scarier than I already have made mine. So why don't you give it a go. It doesn't have to be anything like mine. Be as creative as you can be and send us in your pictures. Have a good week. Bye.